Oh yeah, if you're new to Resident Evil like me, you may be hearing that and seeing this screen a lot. Horror games are not my thing. They have never been my thing. They will never be my thing. But man, the horror genre, despite the inevitable danger it presents, is still in a way more alluring to me than any other genre of entertainment out there due to the aura around it. And Resident Evil is perhaps the most prolific horror franchise in all of gaming. So naturally, I could only ignore its calling for so long before finally caving. And well, despite probably cutting off a third of my life expectancy, I know, dogs are gonna bust through the window! I'm glad I finally grew the stones to check out Resident Evil after all these years. Oh, God! Ah! Bye. The music scared me more than the actual zombie. But before I finally get into my thoughts on Resident Evil, I'd like to thank all of you who left some love on my Ultra Kill video. Leave a comment for a chance to be featured in my next video, and my biggest thanks go to my lovely patrons. Stin, Dotman, Brian, Angel Defoe 3, Papa Noob 345, Dominic, Dominique, Bradley, Mark Nandota, Micah, Devin, Tabriz, Bryce, Victor, Preppy, and Mars. Resident Evil came out nearly 30 years ago, smack dab at the height of hokiness in the mid-90s, 1996. And to jump ahead a bit, I will say right now that the 2002 remake is much scarier in my opinion, all in part due to the updated graphics, the creepier atmosphere, and because they just like jump scaring you more. Ah! I've never screamed like that before. I was just like, alert! But that doesn't mean that the original doesn't hold any merit on its own. In fact, I might argue that the original is actually a more fun overall experience, because while the hokiness of it all is still present to an extent in the O2 remake, it just doesn't compare to the ridiculousness of the original.
Chris Redfield. Jill Valentine. Barry Burton. Rebecca Chambers. Albert Wesker. Resident Evil.
Our star-studded cast has been summoned to investigate the disappearance of their compatriot Bravo team, who themselves were investigating a string of cannibalistic murders around Raccoon Forest. And it doesn't take long to figure out what exactly happened to the Bravo team. Joseph! After the ravenous attack, the Alpha team's only chance of survival was to take refuge inside a seemingly abandoned mansion.
Barry! Where's Barry?
Where's Barry? So naturally, we march off to go find the curious George, only to find Barry being eaten alive by a zombie. Just kidding, that's not Barry, so it's fine. We head back to the main lobby to report our findings, only to find that everyone else is gone. And with that, the game officially starts like for real, as you attempt to survive the horrors that lie within this mysterious mansion and generally try to figure out
what the f is going on?
Now for my playthrough, as you'll see, I chose to play as Chris Redfield, but you can also choose to play as Jill Valentine, who I did decide to play as for the 2002 GameCube remake of this game, which I'll be covering later on in this video. Both characters have their pros and cons, mainly with Chris having a smaller inventory but being able to endure more damage than Jill. Alright, I'm going! Stop! While Jill is weaker, but is able to carry more with her at a time. The gist of things is really the same regardless though. You venture throughout the mansion solving puzzles and reading notes to uncover the origins of how this undead uprising began. In an hour, I'll have entered my eternal sleep where there is no peace. Please understand, please know that I'm sorry. Martin Crackhorn. That sounds like a 1920s baseball player.
Footstep, Martin Crackhorn.
While combating enemies with various guns and knives and whatever. And again, this is my first time playing Resident Evil. Hell, the only horror game I've ever played before this was Amnesia: The Dark Descent, you know, because I was like 13 when guys like PewDiePie and Markiplier became big shots off the back of that game. So to go from this horrifying first-person perspective to this third-person perspective with funky camera angles piloted by tank controls wasn't a bad transition, but it was an interesting one to make. Nothing unusual. Yeah, nothing unusual. Oh, god damn it! And I was curious to see just how that would play out, considering those tank controls are one of the things I'd always heard made the OG Resident Evil not so great to play. But personally, they never really gave me too many problems. Sure, there's a few times where turns got a little weird, but I don't remember any instances where I felt like the controls themselves cost me my life or boned me in any significant way. But just because the game controls decently enough most of the time does not make it easy. No. If you're a first-time player like me, more likely than not, you will be seeing this and hearing
Resident Evil
over and over again until it repeatedly rings in your head like you've got tinnitus. And just remember also, if you're playing this for the first time and you're the same age range as me, turn off your Zoomer brain and remember to save. Ah, shit. There's no auto-saving here, you lazy ox. And not only that, you can't exactly save whenever you want either. There's no just opening up the main menu and saving a new file. Here you have to find ink ribbons and strategically use them at typewriters located around the world, which there's a limited quantity of throughout the game. So it becomes a balancing act of not saving too frequently so that you don't run out of ink ribbons and are then forced to endure long stretches of gameplay where you could possibly die and then have to retrace hundreds of steps. Really? Dead? Come on, man. Oh, man, I'm back a while. God damn it. But also not waiting too long to save either, because God forbid you do die after a long stretch of gameplay without saving, you're gonna have to retrace a lot of steps. In principle, I love this idea. It's one of the many ways Resident Evil emphasizes strategy and simply getting good at the game. Fucking piece of shit. Okay. But man, is it a slog if you do end up dying and have to replay sometimes up to 20 minutes of gameplay. Yes, obviously, that's the punishment. That is the consequence of your own actions, or lack thereof. But it can make the experience kinda deflating when you get stuck for a while, and simply discouraging to continue on, especially on your first playthrough. While I do love the puzzles Resident Evil presents, like this little keypad puzzle to unlock this door. Oh, let's... Right? Let's go. Fuck. Let me in. We're dumping chemicals in the water that turn the tentacles gay. It can get monotonous to keep going if you're unfortunately forced to go through these things again. There's no sense of improving your skills going back and having to redo things because Resident Evil isn't really a game of skill. Compared to the last game I reviewed, that's a game of skill, or in my case, dumb luck, because you have to get as proficient as possible with all the different guns, swapping them constantly and learning which guns work best on certain enemies while also becoming as snappy as possible with the platforming. Each replay is different because there's the sense that you're tangibly getting better at the game. You're learning the most efficient routes and way to take down enemies the more you do things, and that makes it fun to replay. And that's not saying that Resident Evil isn't fun to replay. It is, once you know everything there is to do, because it's not necessarily a game you get better at. I mean, like, you get a better sense of how to approach things, like being more efficient with ink ribbons and ammo. But again, and I'm talking more specifically about your first playthrough here, that's not something that lends to replayability being a fun aspect of things because it's not about skill. It's more smarts and cunning and simply making the right choices. The whole game itself is a big puzzle, and for the literal puzzles you do have to do, it's not like you improve at them, you just memorize what you have to do after figuring it out and keep moving forward. And having said all that, I just want to emphasize one more time, this is really more so a struggle just on my first playthrough. Now that I've finished both games, I've already started replaying the remake, and I've been having so much fun now that I know everything there is to do and how to do it. It becomes a fun challenge to become as conservative as possible with your supplies and attempt to run through the game as cleanly as you can. And on a trip I took to Pittsburgh recently, not only did I play Pokemon Emerald on the ride there for the first time since I was like 7 years old, I even started emulating Resident Evil on my phone as well. So yeah, despite my criticisms, trust me when I say that these games have me crawling right back to playing them in any way I can get them. The combat, however, even on a replay, still leaves a lot to be desired. It's like it's here to try and add another layer of interest to things, but honestly, a good amount of the time, the combat to me just feels like an annoying hurdle I have to get over, rather than an interesting element that enhances the experience. More often than not, the best option is to avoid engaging in combat at all and just run around enemies, especially to conserve your ammo for battling bigger threats you'll come across throughout the game. But also, this is where the controls aren't great. Turns like right there where you get hurt because your character has to loop around like an airplane to be able to change directions. You might be thinking, hey dumbass, how about you put that knife in your hand to good use? I'd love to. Only problem there is sometimes you're slicing and dicing.
1, 2,
Fuck you!
I definitely hit that third stab in time. I know it for a Coors Light cold hard fact, but I can already hear one of you fuckers. Fuck you. I know I timed it right. It's like there's a goddamn input delay or something, and it's infuriating. I will say, although the combat doesn't bring me much joy very often, the shotgun blasts to the head, especially in the remake, are insanely satisfying to pull off. And I've yet to mention enemies are not just limited to zombies. You've of course got your demonic Doberman. Giant snakes. Oh my god, what? What? Dude. He's got me so cornered. Move. That doesn't sound good. This doesn't look good. At all. I knew it! Run, man! Giant tarantulas. 2 big red doors. Oh boy. Oh god. Nope. Fuck spiders. Fuck spiders and fuck you. Giant plants. That's really it? That's all it took? Okay. Oh god.
I can't
Don't scare me like that.
Are you okay?
Yeah.
Where were you?
So much for him. We got to the root of the problem. Saved again.
And the lizard man for more swamp. Oh, what is happening? Oh god. Oh no. Oh no. Oh, I should have saved. Oh no. What is that thing? Oh! Ah, no! Run the other way, you idiot! Oh my god. Ah! No! My god, man. Get off of me! 2 of you! God damn it! Run! There's also these chimeras, which in the original are kinda creepy, but due to the low graphical fidelity, they're tolerable enough. Face me like a man. Oh my god. I couldn't even tell what exactly they were supposed to be, really. In the remake, however, they're so much worse. Oh, yeah! Oh god, what the hell are you? Oh god, switch. No, dude, no, stop it, stop! Ah! Why does everything have to crawl? Great. Great. Get me out of here. Get me out of here. Get me out of here. I guess I should just get into the remake now that I've said most of what I need to say about the original. Again, the original's not exactly scary, but that doesn't stop it from being a lot of fun due to its great atmosphere, puzzles, and of course, phenomenal voice acting and writing.
Are you all right?
Yes. I'm Chris Redfield from the Altitude.
I love how he just talks to her like she's a little kid. Oh, it's all right, hon. Oh, it's okay. Chris unfortunately can't read music. Hey!
It's me, Chris.
Is that you, Rebecca?
Yes, he just met her 3 minutes ago. No wonder he can't read music, he's fucking blind.
May I practice for a while?
Sure?
See? Just relax and play.
All right.
Yeah, you'll get it eventually, sweetheart. The 2002 remake, however, is an entirely different beast.
Chris, this way!
When I first started the remake, I was expecting something pretty one-to-one, but it's actually a good bit different from the original, especially the mansion portion of the game. New creatures and other additions being added that I can presume weren't included in the 96 version due to technological limitations of the time being integrated here makes sense, but there's actually a ton of puzzles redone and added around the early mansion portion of the game that were surprising to me. In one instance, you have to use a dog whistle to lure a zombie dog over to kill it, retrieve its collar, then examine that collar to find out it turns into a coin, which then turns into an imitation of a key, then use that fake key to replace a real key somewhere else in the mansion so the trap that gets triggered when you take out the real key is disarmed by you replacing the real key with the fake key. Yeah, I had to look that up. Okay. I really gotta learn to just check everything. In the original, you had to find these crests to be able to access the courtyard, but now there's this whole overarching masks puzzle throughout the mansion that you have to complete in order to free a crimson head from its coffin inside this crypt underneath the graveyard, and killing it will then net you the stone and metal object, allowing you to access the courtyard. And also, you do still obtain crests in this one by doing this bee and fishing lore puzzle where your bee lore turns into a real bee and starts attacking you. In a game filled with zombies, giant snakes, spiders, chimeras, and whatever the fuck the hunters are, it's pretty funny that bees are also on that long list of enemies. As I mentioned earlier, I just find the remake a lot scarier. The remake made me soil myself on multiple occasions, as you saw with my reaction to the chimeras. But there's also a few other things much scarier now, whether they be additions or things that already existed in the original that are much scarier now because of the better graphics.
Exhibit A. Here comes the crimson head.
Ah! Fucking piece of shit! A new aspect of the remake is that when zombies die, they're not actually dead, or deader, I guess. In the remake, if you leave a zombie to bleed out, after a certain amount of time, they'll resurrect as a ferocious crimson head. Ah! A much faster, stronger, and more durable version of a zombie, complete with distortion effect screams to make you shit out logs bigger than redwoods. Oh god! Whoa, why are you so fast? Chill out! It's so distorted. Ooh! Get off, man. It's kind of like Jey Uso at the press conference where he's just like, or Markiplier. And fun fact, I never throughout my whole playthrough figured out that you can actually prevent crimson heads from spawning so long as you burn the zombies' corpses. Because I never read this note in the first safe room. You want to know how I learned that I should burn their corpses? From watching the Game Grumps playthrough after I finished mine.
So now he'll be dead forever. Isn't that thoughtful?
I learned something from the fucking Game Grumps. I don't know why I'm talking like that. I think that says a lot more about me than it does them.
Exhibit B.
Oh, spiders! Spiders! Get them off me!
So it works out for the best. Oh, down, down. Oh, so gross. Yeah. God, I hate spiders. No, stop.
Exhibit C.
Neptune. Get it? C. Neptune. So in the OG RE, there's a section near the end of the game in these labs where you can flip through a slideshow that goes through all the different creatures mutated by the T-virus. More on that later. Of course, we've already seen the zombies, the dogs, the hunters, but there was also Neptune. Now, in the original, there's this little basement section that's flooded and has sharks swimming around in it. It's a little tense, but ultimately pretty easy to traverse and neutralize the sharks. In the remake, however, this section has been completely overhauled. Oh my god! Oh! Holy shit! Not only are the sharks more aggressive here than they were in RE96, but there's now also a multi-step puzzle that needs to be completed before you can neutralize them. It's one of my favorite sections of the whole game. It's really cool.
Exhibit D.
And finally, the biggest change the remaster makes, the introduction of an entirely new character and expansion of a storyline, Lisa Trevor. What? Ooh! Oh! Oh! Huh? What happened? What the hell is that thing? What is that thing? Ew! What is that? You're nasty. I said you're nasty. This isn't. Yes, it is. I need ammo. The game was doing its best to look out for me here, actually, because it was trying to keep me from wasting all my bullets. Because the thing about Lisa here is that she is immortal. So as we all remember, the game begins with the STARS team investigating the seemingly cannibalistic homicides occurring around the Acclaimed Mountains. Long story short, we eventually uncover that this mansion is a sort of base of operations for viral research conducted by the Umbrella Corporation, with all these batshit insane mutations coming as a result of a leaked mutagenic virus they were experimenting with. As for how Lisa Trevor ties into all this, her dad was actually the architect behind this mansion, and her mom were abducted by the Umbrella Corporation way back in the 1960s. Both Lisa and her mother Jessica were relentlessly experimented on, and while her mother was killed due to the experiments, Lisa survived. But not only did she survive, she developed superhuman strength and regeneration, basically becoming unkillable.
You can't kill me!
Despite her physical improvements, Lisa's mental health rapidly deteriorated, and she longed to be reunited with her mother.
I want my mommy, Mr. Spencer!
So the Umbrella scientists had the brilliant idea of having a female scientist impersonate her mother. Lisa saw right through their bullshit, and she decided to rip the woman's face off in the hopes of finding her mother and returning her face to her. This is what's so alluring to me about horror, is like, god damn, that's so cool. But that's so fucked up. But that's so cool! How do people come up with this? I don't want to go super deep into detail about everything because I don't want this to just turn into a summary, but the game ends with Wesker, one of the guys from the beginning, revealing that he's actually been working as a spy for Umbrella the entire time, who's also been dangling Barry's family's lives in front of him like a carrot on a stick if Barry doesn't do everything he says. But by this point, Barry finally says fuck it and retaliates against Wesker, though he doesn't retaliate hard enough because Wesker still has the wherewithal to release the Tyrant, the ultimate mutation of the Tyrant virus. The virus, which ravaged this entire lab and mansion.
Damn it!
Jill and Barry together. In hell.
And it immediately kills Wesker.
Don't come this way! No!
In the original, at least, he seemingly dies. In the remake, though, he just gets politely shoved out of the way.
What? Premature.
You then end up calling in a helicopter to come rescue everybody as you destroy the Tyrant with a rocket launcher, blow the Spencer mansion to smithereens, and save the day. Woo! Finish the game without saving anyone. Oh shit! Chris! I forgot about Chris.
I'll be back to get you out.
Liar.
It's no big deal though, it's easily corrected. We'll just load right back. Yeah, let me... Oh. Well, fuck.